Well, howdy, folks. This is Kiki coming to you today to send nothing but love and positivity your way. I'm feeling a little pinkalicious. I felt like it was scorching hot outside and want to try something a little different, little jazzy. Hopefully you like, and if you don't, it's okay because I like it. Well, come to you to talk about my reflections of this past week. Got a lot to cover, and it may seem like I'm all over everywhere, but if you take out the time to really hear me out, you'll understand where I'm coming from. So, the new school that I started, predominantly African American students, a few Hispanics and Caucasian students sprinkled in. I understand that a lot of things are put in place to make sure the students are, stay under control. But when it comes to the Pledge of Allegiance, y'all know, I don't know if y'all heard my past videos about that. I do not stress myself over anything like that. So when we did announcements, the Pledge of Allegiance came on, and the students were kind of looking at me like, okay, why am I still sitting down? Why I'm not getting up? And they were like, we got to get up. They all panicking and frantic about, making sure they get up and do their little pledge thing to the flag. And I explained to them, I said, look, you have free will. You can either stand up if you feel like you need to stand up, or you can sit down. But my understanding and with my research about the flag, I'm not finna be stressing over that. I mean, I figured if the school already put rules in place, they got to walk in line quietly a certain way, facing forward, standing behind somebody. They already got to be quiet throughout, the day, pretty much. They just passed a law where they banned all cell phones, so they can't be on their phones. So everything is kind of restricted. Even during lunch, they don't have more choices for lunch. You got to eat what they offer, or you bring your own lunch. So to me, I feel like there should be a little leeway somewhere so they can have some type of independence in something. You know what I mean? Like, there's rules at home, rules here, rules there, rules everywhere. And it's like, not that I want them to be rebellious. And yes, I always make every experience a teachable moment. But as far as that red, white, and blue flag, I'm not going to punish my students. I'm not going to write them up just because they do not stand up and pledge it to allegiance. I remember way back then, I think I mentioned it in another video years ago, where when my daughter was still in high school, she was heading to class. She was standing in the walking in the hallway with a few other students, and she was just trying to make sure she get to class on time. But one of the students noticed that she continued to walk while the Pledge of Allegiance was coming on, and because she would not stop, he just started yelling out, embarrassing her, talking about she's going to hell. She's going to hell because she did not stop to, salute a Pledge of Allegiance to a flag. And like I always say, that's because a lot of people lack the knowledge. When you're being conditioned to do things a certain way for so many years, you see no wrong in it. And so I know for me, it's a little challenging, because when you go through a spiritual awakening, it's like your eyes, you see things so different. It's almost like I died in a spiritual way. Like everything that was thrown on me and forced on me, and I had to believe and follow tradition. It's like I died, and then I was reborn. I came back alive. And it's like, it comes with pros and cons. Like, it's like when people come around me, I can feel their energy. Like, I'm very sensitive to their energy. It's like, I can smell bullshit like a miles away before it even come up to me in my face. And it doesn't even matter who the person is, what title they hold. They can be the head CEO to all the way down to the gardener or the person that keep up the bathrooms and stuff like that. It's like, I could just tell when people are struggling. I can tell when people are struggling with their inner self, struggling financially. I can tell when somebody when they hating and they just it's like you can't hide it. When you are going through things, it's like it shows. It's like in your aura. It just shows. You can just feel that energy. And so like I said, it can be a curse, but it also can be a blessing. I mean, of course, your intuition, all of that, it protects you. It protects you, so you won't feed into somebody's bullshit. And then at the same time, you don't have to worry about somebody using you and draining you of your energy, because that's what happens. Some people are very high vibing and very positive, and so the negative people will come over, play this pretend role like, oh, I'm on your level, or I'm feeling the way you feeling, but at the same time they're doing sneaky stuff to drain all your energy. So it doesn't even matter who they are. They can be your family member, they can be your mama, they can be your daddy, your cousin, your sister, your brother, your coworker, your friend. It doesn't matter. It's just, even the pastor, no matter how many times he lay hands on people every Sunday and preached from the word or the good book, it just seems like you can't hide that aura. We can tell if you're struggling with drugs and alcohol and sex addictions. And one time I went to a church and the pastor, and I knew he was struggling. The pastor was preaching and slipped up and said, it's a breast. You're going to be blessed. Instead of saying you're going to be blessed if you follow through with whatever he was talking about. So we already know that a lot of people struggle with things and they try to keep it a secret. But to me, when you go through a spiritual awakening, you want to shed all of those layers. It's like an onion. You want to shed all of those things that's holding you back and face them and conquer them. As that's where we come in with the shadow side. Even for me, like, I know I was molded and shaped into the person that I became to be because of learned behavior, because of my environment. When you see a lot of your family members, they always drunk, they always high, they always fighting, they always lying, they always plotting. Sometimes those behavior, those ways kind of get transferred over to me or someone else. But see, when you go through a spiritual awakening, it's almost like a whole different baptism. It's like, it's more effective than being dipped in some pool water and, somebody speaking some words over you. It's like you figure out, you learn what is the root to the issue. You learn, okay, well, I know I'm insecure because probably when I was little, no one showed me love. Everybody was talking down on me, calling me names, making me feel less than because I didn't have both of my parents in my life. Then you look at, oh, okay, I see why I'm very defensive, because I'm so used to being attacked by people's words. I dealt with bullies. If it wasn't in my home, it was outside of my home. So now I'm on a defense mode where, okay, the least little thing somebody say is either I'm sensitive or I'm ready to flip. I'm ready to crash out. So, but when you go through a spiritual awakening and you learn how to balance that yin and yang energy, that good and bad side, then it's like you have more control and you see things from a more logical perspective than emotional perspective. Another thing, my coworker came to me the other day, and because I briefly shared with them that I did a lot of moving throughout Florida, and being in a marriage where it was very toxic, and then my husband traveled a lot. Now my ex-husband, it kind of affected me and my children in a lot of ways, and so that's pretty much why I'm where I am today, because I'm trying to stay away from toxicity. I'm trying to stay away from negativity, and I'm trying to heal. And I can't heal in a lot of chaos. I can't heal when somebody trying to compete against me, or somebody trying to set up ways for me to feel less than, or feel like I got to compete against strangers when somebody came to me and said, I love you and want to only be with you. See, I don't got time for the mind games. They try to play with your clique and play and treat you less than treat you like a trick. It's like they don't. Let me go back to what I was saying before I start raging and ranting. So my coworker was telling me that her husband tried her by, I guess, communicating behind her back, communicating, chatting, texting other women. And she ended up, running across one of the text messages, not that she was going through his phone, but because she had to pay for something, and he had the account set up on his phone, and he just didn't do it at the time. And so she said all she did was walked over to him and threatened him and said, I fix your food, right? And it's like, I'm saying to myself, okay, how effective is that? Because you're telling him that you fix his food. So basically you're hinting that you may do something to his food. And to me, I don't think that's right. I mean, I know that it is hard to recover from a broken heart, especially when you put your trust into somebody. But playing around with food, I just don't see the point of that. And plus, that's a felony. So yes, I ain't gonna lie. When I got into a physical altercation with my ex-husband, where he tried to choke me out because I asked him a question and he just spazzed out, yeah, I felt like I needed protection. I felt like I had to sleep with my weapon. I felt like any moment he might spaz out again. Like I just didn't recognize him anymore. But at the end of the day, when you wake up, when you start to go through that spiritual awakening, you say to yourself, I don't have time for all of this being in my energy. Who have the time to be trying to babysit somebody with insecurities, mommy issues, want validation from every freaking female they see? They always trying to get attention, whether it's negative or positive. So to me, that's draining. And then when you're drained, you don't have love for yourself. You don't have time to even pour into your own children. So you got to know when enough is enough. You got to know when it's time to leave all that BS behind. Trying to compete and do all that yappity yap with different people, all that's doing is draining your energy. You cannot control an adult. You cannot. You can share your opinion and let them take it or leave it and keep it moving. But you cannot force anybody to be the way you want them to be. So you be your own person. You build your own inner peace. Whether you got to cut off them family members, whether you got to cut off friends, you do what you need to do so you can be mentally healthy, so you can be financially well off. You know what I mean? Because let me tell you, if your mind ain't healthy, you ain't gonna be able to work and function well. There's many months that I have went to work and I cried and made a lot of mistakes because I'm crying about some BS that somebody bringing me in my life. Like, you make mistakes like you little petty stuff that you could have caught, but you just can't be 100% there because your mind's somewhere else. Never let somebody have that much control over you and your life. It's just so many stories, so many things that I've been through to where, okay, I'm expected to be a straight A student, but nobody set me up for success to be a straight A student. You can't expect me to come home and babysit some other people's kids, or I come home, I'm getting yelled at because I ain't do something petty, or I'm going back and forth with people in my neighborhood, and then they expect you to thrive through stuff like that. Some people, they're good at it. Some people know how to shut stuff out. But if they haven't had that foundation to know how to cope with stressors, then no, you can't expect people to be their best self if they're not set up for success. That's even on the job. If you ain't being properly trained and you're constantly being watched over and people trying to throw you under the bus and talk behind your back and act like they perfect and they don't make no mistakes, it's like that can interrupt your flow of things. But once you go through that spiritual awakening, it's almost like you in this fuck y'all mode. You don't care what nobody have to say about your clothes, about your past, about your future. You just do you. That's how it is. Nobody comes in this world perfectly made. Not when the European done created their own way for us to live. And of course, they're not going to try to set us up for success. They're going to drain us, whether physically or emotionally or mentally. You know what I mean? So with that being said, y'all, just be strong out there through all this chaos. Be positive. Try to find a way to get with like-minded people. You can't expect to change when you still hanging with the same people with the same mindset. If you hanging with somebody who always got to go clubbing and who always be quick to, smiling a nigga face and trying to get something out of her, then basically, birds of a feather flock together. Oh my God, did I actually get that one right? Because I'm always messing up the idioms. But you just got to be mindful of the people that you let in your circle. It's almost like you got to go through a detox. You got to detox your mind. All that stuff that you learned that was not helping you grow spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, you need to go ahead and detox that. You need to start looking into affirmations. Start to listen to positive motivators that is not trying to run game on you and get some out of you. I would say pastors, they're good at motivating you, but at the same time, they still expect something in return. Ain't nothing in this world free. So whether they get it out of you from tithing, whether they get it out of you for you participating in church, they're going to get something out of you. So it's up to you, your free will. If you feel like you're growing and you are being a better person, then that's all well and good. But if you are judging people and trying to call somebody a hoe and you don't know what happened and how they became the hoe and whether they got the proper help, if you ain't trying to help speak life into a person, then you need to just shut up and stay in your lane. If you need to detox from the food that you eat, you cannot hang around somebody who always like to rib and barbecue and pork it all up. It just ain't gonna work. People that like to eat a whole lot of sweets and fighting with diabetes. you bound to fall in the same position. You know, if you don't have self-control, you know, hanging with somebody that's always broke, most likely you're going to be feeling their energy because they're going to be complaining the whole time about not having money. Then you end up broke right along with them. You end up falling in the same situation because they probably going to be borrowing from you. So you got to detox all of that shit and drop it in the toilet and flush it down the drain. If you want to be born again, and I mean really be born again. I ain't talking about that oil on your forehead and that European ritual that they do in the church. I ain't talking about you being dipped in some pool water and expecting to come out brand new. And just for your information, when you are being dipped inside of pool water, there's no memory or energy in that water. Really is not. So your best bet is to go to a real river where there's a lot of memory of DNA and earthly information stored in that river and that lake and that beach water. So, but like it comes with studying to know this information. It comes with patience because you ain't gonna get everything right off the first time you open a book. It comes with being patient with yourself and acknowledging your ancestors and giving them gratitude and thanks. And then eventually it'll start falling into your favor because your ancestors, they're up there with the Most High or the divine or the universe or the energy that exists on the other side of the realm. So if you skipping over them and you trying to go and talk to another European type of Jesus God, you know, your blessings may come with a price, you know, because some deities, they're not the best deity to follow. Some blessings come with a price. I'm telling you. You know, you may gain something, but you may lose something at the same time. You may gain, like a lot of rappers, when they get big, they always end up losing a close family member or a best friend to death. When you come up in one way, it's always a sacrifice for something else. So I would rather take a chance on my ancestors. That way they already know, okay, I'm representing them. I'm showing reverence to them. I am creating my generation to recognize and acknowledge them. So I feel like my blessings are more safe and more pure when I'm going to the people that's connected to me. So, but anyway, all I'm saying, guys, just stay encouraged. Be patient with yourself. You know, just take baby steps, but don't sit around and wait too long, because you'll be missing out on a lot of blessings and you'll be stuck in a rut, worrying about what everybody else think of you. So with that being said, know that I love you and have a blessed one.